You won't believe what this entitled HOA board member did when she found herself trapped in MY garage with a car full of, well, let's just say the second surprise involved 50 pounds of something that doesn't smell like roses. But before I tell you how I got sweet revenge on the most Karen of all Karens, let me take you back to where this nightmare began. Because trust me, what she did to deserve this was absolutely insane. That MY name is Marcus. And 6 months ago, I bought my dream home in what I thought was a quiet suburban neighborhood in Phoenix, Arizona. 3-bedroom ranch style, beautiful desert landscaping, and most importantly, a 2-car garage that I've been dreaming about for years. Now, I know what you're thinking. Marcus, how bad could an HOA really be? Oh, sweet summer child. Let me introduce you to Patricia Henderson, or as everyone in the neighborhood secretly calls her, Hurricane Patricia. She's 57 years old, drives a white Lexus SUV that costs more than most people's annual salary, and wears the title of HOA Board President, like it's a crown bestowed by royalty. From day one, Patricia made it her personal mission to make my life a living hell. And I mean that literally. It started innocently enough. The first week after I moved in, I came home from my job at the tech company downtown to find a bright yellow violation notice stuck to my front door. The violation? My trash cans were visible from the street for more than 12 hours after pickup. Now, here's the thing. Trash pickup in our neighborhood happens at 6 a.m. on Wednesdays. I leave for work at 7:30 a.m. Patricia had apparently measured the exact time my cans were visible and waited right at that 12-hour mark to slap me with a $75 fine. Petty, right? But it gets so much worse. Week 2, another violation. This time my lawn was precisely 2 inches tall when a maximum allowed height is 3 inches. She'd literally measured my grass. Who does that? Week 3. My mailbox was showing signs of weathering inconsistent with neighborhood standards. It was a brand new mailbox. There wasn't a single scratch on it, but I'm a reasonable guy. I pay the fines, I trim my grass to exactly 5 inches. I polished my mailbox until I could see my reflection in it. I was determined to follow every single ridiculous rule this HOA had. That's when Patricia decided to up her game. It was a Tuesday evening in late March. I'd had a brutal day at work. Our company's servers had crashed. I'd been in meetings for 6 straight hours, and I'd skipped lunch. All I wanted was to get home, heat up some leftover pizza, and collapse on my couch. I pulled up to my house and immediately noticed something was wrong. My garage door was open, but I never left it open. I'm paranoid about security, always have been. As I got closer, my blood started to boil. There, parked right in the middle of my 2-car garage, taking up both spaces, was Patricia's white Lexus SUV. I sat in my driveway, absolutely dumbfounded. I mean, the sheer audacity. This woman had somehow opened my garage door and parked her car inside MY private property like she owned the place. I got out of my car and walked up to my garage. The Lexus was locked, and Patricia was nowhere to be seen. I stood there for a solid 5 minutes, trying to process what was happening. Then I heard her voice. "Oh, Marcus, there you are." Patricia came strolling around from my backyard wearing designer athleisure wear and carrying a yoga mat. My backyard. She'd been in my backyard. "I hope you don't mind," she said with this sickeningly sweet smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I've been using your garage for parking while I host my HOA committee meetings at my house across the street. My driveway gets so full with all the important board members, and your garage is just sitting here empty during the day. I thought, why should this space go to waste?" I literally couldn't speak. My mouth was hanging open like a cartoon character. "I had a spare garage door opener programmed," she continued, jingling a remote in her hand. "Hope that's okay. It's really for the betterment of the community. The HOA board meetings are so important, and we need to maintain curb appeal. Can't have all those cars cluttering up my driveway, can we?" Voice change. Anger barely controlled. Let me tell you something. I'm generally a calm person. I meditate. I do breathing exercises. I count to 10. But in that moment, I wanted to scream. "Patricia," I said, keeping my voice as steady as possible, "you need to move your car right now. This is MY garage. You can't just park here." Her smile vanished instantly, replaced by this look of cold superiority. "Actually, Marcus, if you'd read the HOA Bylaws Section 7, Paragraph 14, Subsection C, you know that in cases where HOA business requires temporary use of private amenities for the betterment of the community, board members are granted access. I'm well within my rights. That's not dash. I started, but she cut me off. I'll move it when my meeting is over. Should be another hour or so. Maybe you can park on the street like everyone else for once. It would really help you fit in better with the neighborhood culture. And then she just walked away, walked back to her house across the street, leaving me standing in my own driveway, unable to park in my own garage. That first time, I let it go. I thought maybe it was a one-time thing, a weird power play that she'd gotten out of her system. I parked on the street, waiting until her meeting was over, and when she finally moved her car 3 hours later, not 1 hour, I immediately changed my garage door opener codes. Problem solved, right? Wrong point. 2 days later, I came home to find Patricia's car in my garage again. She'd gotten a new code somehow. When I confronted her, she claimed she'd noticed suspicious activity near my garage and was doing a security check of the neighborhood. I changed the codes again. I even put up a sign, private property, and no parking. The next week, she parked there twice. Each time with a different excuse. I was checking for building code violations. The HOA needed to inspect your garage door mechanism for safety compliance. I thought I heard a gas leak and was investigating. Each excuse was more ridiculous than the last. I tried going through official channels. I called the police, but because she was technically the HOA president and claimed she had authorization through HOA rules, they said it was a civil matter and I'd need to handle it through the HOA itself. Do you see the problem? Patricia was the HOA. I filed complaints with the HOA board, but guess who was on that board? Patricia's best friends, Linda and Susan, who thought everything Patricia did was wonderful and justified. I tried talking to my neighbors. Most of them were too scared of Patricia to get involved. She'd terrorized everyone on the street with violations, fines, and threats of liens on their properties. One neighbor, an elderly man named George, whispered to me at the mailbox, "She's untouchable, son. Been president for 8 years. Nobody can vote her out. She controls who even gets to run for the board." This went on for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of coming home to find her car in my garage at least twice a week, sometimes 3 times. 6 weeks of her smug face and increasingly absurd excuses. 6 weeks of changing my garage codes, only for her somehow to get the new ones. The final straw came on a Friday in May. I'd taken a half day off work since I had a date. A really good date. I'd been seeing this incredible woman named Jade for about 3 weeks, and she was set to come over to my place for the first time. I'd spent my morning cleaning the house. I'd bought nice wine. I'd even cooked lasagna from scratch. Jade was set to arrive at 6 p.m. At 5:45, I went to open my garage to make sure there was room for her to park. I wanted to be a gentleman and let her use the garage. You can probably guess what I found. Patricia's Lexus. Both spaces. Again, this time was different, though. There was a note taped to my garage wall. It read, "Marcus, having a dinner party tonight with the HOA Executive Committee. We'll need the garage until approximately 11 p.m. Please park on the street and keep noise levels down. We'll be discussing important community business. Patricia Henderson, HOA President." My hand was shaking while I read that note. She just claimed my garage for 5 hours for her personal dinner party. Didn't ask, didn't even pretend to ask. Just took it. I immediately called her. Voicemail. I texted. No response. I walked across the street and rang her doorbell. I could hear people laughing and music playing inside, but nobody answered. Jade arrived at 6 o'clock. I had to have her park on the street. When she asked why she couldn't park in the garage, I had to explain the situation. You could see her face change from understanding to concern to, is this guy worth the drama? The date was ruined. Completely ruined. We tried to have dinner, but I was distracted, angry, humiliated. Jade left by 8 p.m., saying she had a headache. She never returned my calls after that. I sat on my couch, eating my homemade lasagna alone, staring at my open garage with Patricia's car sitting there like a throne. Something inside me just got snapped. I've been the nice guy. I'd followed the rules. I tried the official channels. I'd been patient and understanding and accommodating. That was over. I spent the entire weekend researching. And I mean researching. I read the entire HOA covenant, all 147 pages of it. I looked up property laws in Arizona. I consulted with a lawyer friend from college who owed me a. Through the container, I could smell it. Perfect. When I arrived home, Patricia's car was still there. I could see across the street that she was hosting another one of her famous committee meetings, several cars in her driveway, people visible through her windows drinking wine and laughing. I pulled up to my garage and parked my car on the street, blocking my driveway. Then I got to work. First, I carefully placed the glitter bomb on the driver's seat of her Lexus. I'd programmed it to trigger when the car door opened. The beauty of this particular model was that it would launch the glitter upward in a fountain pattern, ensuring maximum coverage of the interior, the driver, and anyone else who might be in the car. Then came surprise number 2. I opened the back of her SUV. Thankfully, she'd left it unlocked, probably because she felt so entitled to be there. I opened the container of manure and began the delicate process of depositing it. I spread it across the entire cargo area, making sure to get some under the floor mats too. The smell was already making my eyes water. But I wasn't done. I took about 10 pounds of it and carefully distributed it under the seats, in the cup holders, and in the air vents. By the time I was finished, that car was going to smell like a farm for months, possibly forever. I sealed up the empty container, removed my gloves, and took a step back to admire my work. Both surprises were set and ready. Then I did something that felt absolutely glorious. I pressed the button to close my garage door, and I engaged the new manual deadbolt lock from the outside. Click! Patricia's car was now locked inside my garage, booby-trapped with glitter and filled with aged cow manure, and there was absolutely nothing she could do about it. I didn't have to wait long. About 20 minutes later, I heard the doorbell ring. I've been sitting in my living room, watching the security camera feed on my laptop, waiting for this exact moment. I opened the door to find Patricia standing there, her face already red with anger. "Marcus," she said, her voice tight and controlled, "your garage door appears to be malfunctioning. My car is trapped inside. You need to open it immediately." "Oh, Patricia," I said, matching her fake sweet tone from weeks before. "I hope you don't mind, but I've been having issues with unauthorized vehicles parking on my private property, so I've installed a new security system. For the safety of the community, you understand." Her eye twitched. "Open the door now." "I'd be happy to," I said, pulling out my phone and opening up a calculator app. According to Arizona State Code Section 33 to 1808, when a vehicle is parked on private property without the owner's permission, the property owner may secure the vehicle and charge storage fees. Let's see. You've been parked here for, I checked my watch dramatically, about 3 hours now. The rate for unauthorized parking storage is $50 per hour with a minimum 24-hour charge. So that'll be $1,200 to release your vehicle. I've never seen someone's face turn that particular shade of purple before. "You cannot be serious," she sputtered. "I'm the HOA president. I have authorization." "Actually," I said, pulling out my printed documents, "you don't. This is private property, not a common area. The HOA bylaws you cited, Section 7, Paragraph 14, Subsection C, specifically refers to common areas only. My garage is private property, purchased and owned by me. You've been trespassing, repeatedly. I'll have you fined. I'll have you removed from the neighborhood. I'll put a lien on your house. Feel free to try," I said calmly. "I've already filed a formal complaint with the Arizona Department of Real Estate, HOA Compliance Division. I have documentation of all your violations, including harassment, abuse of power, and trespassing. I've also spoken with several neighbors who are ready to testify about your behavior." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. "But I'm reasonable," I continued. "Pay the storage fee, and I'll release your car. Or you can wait the full 24 hours, and we can let the authorities sort it out. Your choice." The veins in her neck were bulging. "This is illegal. You can't hold my car hostage." "I'm not holding it hostage, that I'm securing my property against repeated trespassing. There's a difference. Oh, and Patricia?" I smiled. You might want to be careful when you open your car door. I may have accidentally left some dot items inside that need to be addressed. Her eyes narrowed. What did you do? Nothing illegal, I assure you. Just a couple of surprises to help you remember that this garage is not yours to use. Patricia made a fatal mistake in that moment. Instead of paying the storage fee or calling the police like a rational person, she decided to escalate. She pulled out her phone and called an emergency HOA board meeting. Within 30 minutes, Linda and Susan were at my door, along with 3 other neighbors Patricia had bullied over the years. They demanded I open the garage. They threatened legal action. They called me unreasonable, vindictive, a troublemaker. I stood my ground. Pay the storage fee or wait 24 hours. Those are the options. That's when George, my elderly neighbor, spoke up. Patricia, just pay the man and get your car. You've been parking in his garage for months without permission. We've all seen it. Patricia whirled on him. Stay out of this, George, or I'll cite you for that mailbox rust. Actually, another neighbor, a woman named Teresa, stepped forward. I don't think you'll be citing anyone for anything much longer. I've been documenting all your abuses of power for the last 6 months. I have a folder with 43 separate incidents of you violating HOA board conduct rules. More neighbors started speaking up. It was like a dam had broken. Person after person came forward with stories of Patricia's harassment, illegal fines, and power trips. The 2 other board members, Linda and Susan, looked increasingly uncomfortable. Patricia's face had gone from purple to white. She was realizing, in real time, that her reign of terror was ending. Fine, she finally said, her voice shaking with rage. I'll pay your ridiculous storage fee. Just open the garage. I smiled. Cash or check? She wrote me a check for $1,200 with hands trembling from anger. I examined it carefully, took a photo of it, and then pulled out the key to the deadbolt. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced to the assembled crowd, I present to you the release of the hostage vehicle. I unlocked the deadbolt and pressed the garage door button. The door began to rise slowly, revealing Patricia's white Lexus in all its glory. There you go, I said. Your car is released. Though I should warn you one more time, be careful when you open the door. Patricia stormed past me toward her car, Linda and Susan trailing behind her nervously. The rest of the neighbors, sensing something entertaining was about to happen, didn't leave. We all stood there, watching. Patricia grabbed the driver's side door handle and pulled. The glitter bomb activated the instant the door opened. Poof! 2 pounds of holographic glitter erupted from the driver's seat like a fabulous volcano. It shot upward in a shimmering fountain, coating Patricia from head to toe. Her hair, her face, her designer blouse, her expensive jewelry, everything was suddenly covered in thousands of tiny, sparkling particles. But that was just the visual component. The fart spray deployed simultaneously. The smell hit us even from 20 feet away. Patricia shrieked, stumbling backward, wiping frantically at her face and hair. Glitter flew everywhere, catching the late afternoon sunlight and creating this bizarre, sparkling cloud around her. What did you do? She screamed. What is this? Surprise number 1, I said calmly. Ultra-fine holographic glitter mixed with harmless fart spray. Completely legal, available for purchase on Amazon. I believe the product description calls it perfect for teaching someone an unforgettable lesson. Linda and Susan were trying not to laugh. I could see their shoulders shaking. Several of the neighbors weren't even trying to hide their amusement anymore. But Patricia wasn't done discovering surprises yet. She reached into her car, still wiping glitter from her eyes, trying to get something to clean her face. That's when she noticed the smell. Not the fart spray that was already dissipating. This was something else. Something worse. She looked in the back seat, then in the cargo area. What? What? I asked that. Her voice had gone from angry to horrified. Surprise number 2, I announced cheerfully. 50 pounds of organic, aged cow manure. Purchased legally from Farm Fresh Supply. Great for gardens, I hear. Not so great for luxury car interiors. Patricia's scream could probably be heard 3 streets over. She stared at her car at the piles of manure spread across every surface, the the glitter still falling from her hair like some kind of nightmarish fairy dust, the smell of fart spray mingling with the aroma of aged cow manure, creating an olfactory assault that made several people gag. You destroyed my yard," she shrieked. "I damaged nothing," I corrected. "The glitter will clean up eventually, though I hear it takes about 6 to 8 months to get it all. The manure is organic and non-toxic, though you'll probably want to have the interior professionally detailed. Twice, maybe 3 times. And I'd recommend replacing the air filters." Patricia tried to get in her car, but the smell was so overwhelming she immediately stumbled back out, gagging. She looked around desperately at the assembled neighbors, glitter falling from her like toxic snowflakes, seeking support or sympathy. She found none. "Patricia," Linda said quietly, "I think we need to have a board meeting about your conduct as president." "What?" Patricia spun around, sending more glitter flying. "You can't be serious. He's the one who you've been parking in his garage without permission for months," Susan interrupted. "We all knew it. We all watched you do it. And we did nothing because we were scared of you." "George is right," Teresa added. "You've been abusing your power as president for years. This stops now." Over the course of the next hour, sitting in my driveway, while Patricia's glitter emiter mobile sat in my now-open garage perfuming the evening air, an impromptu neighborhood meeting took place. One by one, neighbors shared their stories. George had been fined $300 for a mailbox that didn't meet standards, even though it was identical to Patricia's own mailbox. Teresa had been threatened with a lien for having the wrong shade of beige paint, off by what she proved was literally 2% on the color spectrum. A young couple had been cited for excessive noise when their baby cried at night. An elderly woman had been fined for parking her handicap-accessible van in her own driveway because it was too commercial-looking. The list went on and on. Patricia had terrorized the whole neighborhood, using the HOA as her personal fiefdom, fining and threatening anyone who didn't bow to her authority. By the end of it, Linda and Susan had formally moved to remove Patricia from the board. A vote was taken right there on the spot. The motion passed unanimously. Patricia, covered in glitter, reeking of manure and fart spray, was no longer HOA president. Patricia tried to drive her car home. She made it about 15 feet before the smell drove her back out. She ended up walking across the street to her house, leaving a trail of glitter behind her like the world's worst Hansel and Gretel breadcrumb situation. She had to call a specialized cleaning service that normally deals with biohazard situations. They arrived in full protective gear. When they opened the car door, even in their masks, they recoiled. The cleaning took 3 days. 3 days. And cost her, according to the Neighborhood Gossip Network, $3,500. But here's the thing. They couldn't get all the glitter. Even after 3 days of professional cleaning, there were still pieces of holographic glitter embedded in places that glitter should never be. Every time she turned on the air conditioning, a small puff of glitter would come out. Every time the sun hit the dashboard at the right angle, it sparkled. And the smell? The cleaners managed to reduce it, but they told her honestly that the manure had soaked into the upholstery padding, and the only way to completely eliminate the smell would be to replace the entire interior. The quote for that? $8,000. Patricia tried to take me to court. She filed a lawsuit claiming I'd vandalized her vehicle. It was dismissed almost immediately. The judge, after reviewing my documentation of her repeated trespassing and my legal right to secure my property, actually seemed amused. He told Patricia that she was lucky I hadn't pressed criminal trespassing charges against her. She tried to get the HOA to fine me for disturbing the peace and creating a public nuisance. The new board, led by George and Teresa, unanimously rejected every complaint. That was 6 months ago. Patricia resigned from the HOA board altogether 3 weeks after the glitter manure incident, as it's now known in neighborhood lore. She sold her house too, months later, and moved to a different part of Phoenix. Rumor is she couldn't stand the constant giggling and pointing whenever she left her house, with glitter still occasionally falling from her hair. The new HOA board, under George and Teresa's leadership, has been amazing. They've revised the bylaws to include clear definitions of private property rights, term limits for board members, max 2 consecutive 2-year terms, A formal complaint process with actual oversight, reasonable standards for violations. No more 2-inch grass measurements. My relationship with the neighborhood has done a complete 180. I'm actually FRI.